Hey there, it's a small request. Surprised to see me again. Me too. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about some things that I have been doing over the past few years. The time I haven't been releasing any new ASMR videos. Well, I have been doing a lot of stuff, but today I want to focus on painting and drawing. These are two hobbies that I really didn't have maybe 3 years ago, but 2 years ago on Christmas Day I had some sort of vision that I wanted to paint, and that is basically the beginning of my journey as this type of artist on top of just doing music. And at the same time I want to try out this microphone setup that I have. I'm not sure if it's working completely yet, and if I'm not a fan of the sound, I'll be maybe focusing on my condenser microphone in the future videos because it has a better sound quality. The good thing about this microphone is that it's pretty good at picking up my voice, but it's a mono, so I have to do some type of magic in the editing to make it a little bit more binaural and more ASMR-like. But we'll see. I'm still figuring some things out, and I hope that in the meantime I will be able to provide you with some relaxing videos nevertheless. So anyways, over the past few years I have been drawing a bunch and also painting a bunch, and there really doesn't seem to be an end to this craze. I feel like it's a new way for me to have a dialogue with my inner self, and somehow creating art feels more divine than it should be. And what I mean by that is that in a way I feel like I'm doing serious work, even though a big part of it is still playing and figuring things out. But there is a lot of mysticism and growing as a person and stuff like that that really resonates with me. So first off, I want to show you some of my drawings. I've done most of them with Picomo markers and Pro markers. I've done a lot of this type of maybe a little bit psychedelic. You can see a lot of like cell shapes. It's more of a like a drawing practice for me, but I really like how they work. Kind of like nature, finding forms and finding spaces to fill up, and small forms creating a bigger form. Here's another a little bit more colorful drawing that I did. I don't know what to say about this one other than I guess it's some sort of color therapy. Here's another drawing. This one I imagined to be a flower that grows from a callus if you put the callus in the soil. So some sort of a food fungus flower. This one here is interesting. It has some symbolic stuff in there. You can maybe see corn cobs. You can maybe see, let me see what else is there. Some sort of eye and a sun. Maybe some elephant feet there. And a little bit like a dream catcher vibe. I quite like the colors in this one and some of the forms. Here's another pretty psychedelic drawing that I did. I guess it's well, I see here, if I imagine it to be facing my way, I see an owl, and if I imagine it to be walking away from me, I see a person with a backpack, kind of like Finn the Human. These are just some geometrical works that I've done, something simple. Some of these papers are not well preserved, but I guess it just shows how much value I give to some of the works. A lot of, especially my paintings, I consider them to be works in progress, even though I've finished working with them, because a lot of them I have visualized more, but I haven't been able to do those things on a technical level that satisfies me. So I'll probably continue working with a lot of them when I feel like I've figured something new out with my skills. This drawing I think I called something like Animal Party, and I quite like it. There's some interesting stuff happening there. I see some pianos and dancers. I see a cat here and a entity here. Some flowers. So from the drawings you can probably imagine that I've been inspired by a lot of psychedelic imagery, and that is true. But to me it's not psychedelicness per se, it's more of maths and actual phenomena of nature that inspires me. And sometimes when I'm feeling extra good about myself and life, I truly see the psychedelic nature of reality. And I guess doing art is one way to kind of like give more focus for the stuff that you are interested in. When I first started painting, well, first of all, I didn't know how to do it, and I still don't know. I'm just figuring things out by myself, maybe watching some YouTube videos and getting inspired by other artists. And I do have some knowledge from my university studies, but I was honestly surprised how easy it was to get something, at least something done, and not something super ugly, but something that I've been like kind of happy about. These are some of the first paintings that I did, and it's kind of like you can see the transition from the psychedelic drawing imagery going to my paintings, and then my paintings usually evolve to something completely different, but I do like the idea of mixing these kind of like artificial and weird and extra colorful things with bleak or nature or natural stuff. And I guess this is one of those type of works. I called this one Oliphant. And this is a mixture of some pro marker work and acrylics on paper. So you can see kind of like some sort of a creature in a forest. The paintings I will try to... I don't have a chronological order, but I will try to show them from my earliest ones to my later ones. This painting on a paper I called Ceremony. This was one of the first times I tried to do a person, and you can really see it. It's not the best, but you can see some aspiration on the floral work. And that really inspired me with this one. It's really hard for me to hate on my own works and stuff, because, like, honestly, I don't do this to show off to people. I just do this for myself because it feels good to get better at things, and in the meantime you get to know yourself more, because art is really a conversation between you and your thoughts and what you want to reflect on the canvas. And even if the stuff that I reflect is not pretty, or it's juvenile or not ready, it's still who I am at that point, and there is some value in actually seeing yourself in your truest form in the moment. Now, this painting actually was the very first one that I did. Well, not my very first painting, but when I started this hobby again, it was the first one. And this one I called Ecclesiastes, and this is the, in a way, like a trip report. You can probably see some sort of hyperbolic geometry that goes beyond, but it also creates this type of probably like a kind of like a magic eye vision of a face here. And this here is a mixture of a heart and an animal that is a mixture of a lion and a dog. Another work that I painted on a paper here you can see a lot of layers, and I am actually quite happy with this one. There is some sort of a bird figure, and a lot of things happening in the background, but it's very abstract. Now, here's a little different style painting that I did on paper. And I imagined this to be an old guy from Marseille, thinking about his past on a fall time. You can see some yellowy and red trees in the background, and a guy in a cardigan with his little hat on, and some smoke coming from his mouth. And I imagined this shirt actually also as some type of a promenade of his past life. Here's another older painting that I did called Intuition. it's a little bit hard to look at. The composition is all over the place, but I feel like my heart was in the right place here. And you can maybe see a little bit of the name intuition in the theme here. If you look closely, you can see one thing that I like here is the tree textures. I'm quite happy how they turned out. And behind the trees here, these are a little bit like the dandelions in the summer, mixed in a tree, like a baobab tree. And here is a rock that is also an egg, and inside the egg is something emerging. And here is a figure, a hooded figure, emerging, going to this rock. Some of the paintings and drawings I have already sold, and usually the ones you sell are the better ones. But anyways, I guess I just said that to say that these are not the only things I've done. I've done quite a bit more here, but these are the ones that I can show you now. And this is also a painting that I did already maybe like 2 years ago. I tried to do a horse and my cousin, but the person is not the best. I like the texture work on the jacket, but I'm quite happy with the horse, especially considering I was just starting. I figured some things out doing this one, and it really motivated me to keep going. When it comes to painting, I feel like there is so much that you can do and learn that it feels wrong to, especially in the beginning, just to stay on one path. Especially for someone like me, I've always liked to know a lot of things about a lot of things. And when it comes to painting, I've already managed to try out a bunch of different techniques, and also I don't like to monkey and copy others, so I give naturally some value to like figuring these things by myself and finding my own way. And one of these own ways that I've enjoyed is what I like to call emerging painting or emerging art. And this is one of those works. And what I mean by the emerging is that I go to the painting session with kind of like an open mind and empty canvas, and then I just start to paint, and throughout the process I take a step back and see what's coming up and what I'm kind of like intuitively conjuring to the canvas, because you start to see those forms, shapes taking shape, and objects finding their names in a way. And this is what happened many times with this work. I was just painting and saying like, oh, there's some type of a cantaloupe coming, and oh, this is gonna be a strawberry, and this is probably a medusa or something, and a giant blueberry or a exotic blue fruit. Here I mixed kind of like a bird and a exotic flower, and they in a way combine to each other. And if you look closely, you can see some sort of eyes in the dark spots throughout the painting, so there's something lurking in the back. Okay, now I'll show a few of the paintings that I've done of people, fictional or real. This one I called conocer. This is a fictional character I created by not looking at any references. And I imagined it to be some sort of a art Noah who feels the art, maybe has some inner demons or inner incongruences that need to be worked out, but still the heart is, to me, in the right place. And here I kind of like the composition, overall composition, some of this color work on the background, and also the surrealism of the scarf. It's just some brush shapes that I did with continuous brush strokes. I've also painted some problematic figures. I've had some sort of a thought process about problematic male figures and maybe a little bit about toxic masculinity in the mix. But here, well, I'm not even naming who I tried to show here, but I imagine this is an American politician, maybe after a few years of serving in the prison. Here's comedian Sami Hedberg. This was actually a very joyful experience to me to paint, because I felt like I finally figured it out how to make, well, paintings that look like this, basically. A slightly bigger one. This one I call Sveta. I used few models as my references for the woman in the water, and in the background you can see the peak of mountain Elbrus in Russia. This is also one of those in progress ones, because the eyes are not in the right place, for example. So I really want to work on this one more. With this one I wanted to tackle some of my own issues on viewing women and how the process of objectifying comes in a way naturally, and how I try to change that and kind of like rewire myself. It's sometimes hard because we follow different intuitions, and some intuitions come from the heart and some are informed by another person a little bit more south at the border, and that person is not thinking things through. Anyways, here's a more abstract piece. I call this one Lagam. I imagine it to be something that maybe a swimmer could find in the restaurant section of a sunken ship. That was at least my thought process when painting. And this one is called Booze. And this one actually got to the front page of Reddit. I used my leftover paints when I was painting a bigger painting, and I wanted to use the leftovers, so I made this fast painting, and it's actually quite funny. It's a simple idea, and I'm quite happy how it turned out and how I managed to work on the canvas. Booze is also Afrikaans and means evil, so it was kind of like a word play on the form of the poos and also booze and then the Afrikaans word. And this one is a mood piece. I imagined some of my train rides from my childhood. There was this 1 hour long train ride from my city, and I used to ride it maybe once a month in the summer, and it was always a exciting thing, and also some not so happy memories mixed in the back. Just looking at the window and seeing the raindrops form and see the action and the dance that they create, and a little bit of the red curtains of the Finnish trains. But this is a work in progress, and here you can probably see some Viking imagery, maybe a red button, maybe a sea, a trail on the sea, some sky behind something that looks like a glass, some liquid pouring from the glass, maybe a flame of life, a cornucopia, maybe some people waiting on the coast, and a trail going to a different path. This painting is more like a personal diary to me, but I wanted to show it to you because I've also felt that painting is one of the best ways to keep a diary in a way, because you want to kind of like find the essence of your issues and what's in your mind and find a symbolic representation for it. And to me the symbolic references come very naturally. I like to think about things symbolically because maybe it stems from the idea that nature actually is pretty recursive, and things that happen in many scales. So there is the same phenomena happening in like between peoples, between smaller animals, between cosmological scales and stuff. It's all surprisingly universal when you understand to think about the world through symbols. This is something that I painted during this Christmas. I guess it's some sort of an egg. You can maybe see something luring there, seeing with an eye from the crack. And in the egg you can see some wreaths, some floral formations in red and a little bit of blue flowers there. I'm quite happy with the composition. I enjoy the burnt umber color here, mixed with some more yellow ochre. This painting has a Finnish name. The Finnish name is Keskustelu on käytävä ulkona, and it's a wordplay, meaning that the dialogue has to be had outside, and also that the dialogue creates a tunnel outside. And what I wanted to show with this painting, it's actually done on a pretty heavy wooden board. Here is a conversation happening between the blue ball and the red ball. And from the red ball's mouth you can see a tunnel coming, and taking a different form after approaching the tunnel coming from the blue mouth. When they intersect here, they create a new ball that is kind of like a mixture of their color, and the color depends on the conversation happens. So the conversation creates these balls, and from the balls the conversation goes to the ears of the other listener. Maybe gets mixed up in the process or analyzed by a different set of ears. And in the background you can see different conversations already had, and they become these balls in different colors depending on the people who said those things. Maybe someone also said something alone and it created a ball that is only the color of the person who said it. And here in the middle you can see a forest and some water, but the reflection also makes it look like an audio wave between two people. So I wanted to show in some way a natural phenomenon happening in a surreal world, and trying to see how I imagine conversations to be. Now here's another one of those surreal paintings. This one is not the easiest to look at, and it's not even very pretty, but it was a thoroughly inspiring project for me. Done on a wooden board, and I just want to show you a few of the details that I like here. Here's a person that I imagine to be me. And here are some flames and reflections, color work. And this thing is, well, it's hard to say what it is, but it's many things. And it's on top of me. In a way, this is also something that I've visualized with my inner eye and tried to bring on the kind of like this reality. And this is starting to be one of the better versions of this one motif that I've done. I haven't really explained the motif, but I guess it's annoying to explain things. Better to just experience sometimes. Well, I think that's plenty of paintings and drawings that I've shown you. It feels nice to show you these paintings and stuff that I've done, and not to feel embarrassed by it. I guess it's a sign of growth as a person. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope I didn't scare you with my work, and have a pleasant evening or morning or whenever you are watching this. And if you're sleeping, have a good night, and see you in the next video.